There's a quiet power in the way a Sigma male moves through the world. He doesn't announce his presence with flashy gestures or charm his way into rooms with rehearsed lines. Instead, he carries an aura of detachment that paradoxically draws people in. While most men might seek approval or validation to feel significant, the Sigma male is self-sufficient, rooted in internal validation rather than external applause. Psychologists link this trait to a high degree of self-differentiation, the ability to remain true to oneself while remaining emotionally neutral to social pressures. This isn't arrogance, it's clarity. The Sigma male doesn't need to prove anything, and that subtle self-assurance becomes magnetic. When he enters a room, he observes rather than performs. He reads people like open books, not to manipulate, but to understand the world around him. This observational sharpness, often mistaken for aloofness, is actually emotional intelligence in stealth mode. Women, especially those attuned to nuance, notice these details. They notice how he listens more than he speaks, how his silence carries more weight than someone else's flattery. They notice how he leaves without explanation, only to reappear better than before, not because he's playing games, but because solitude fuels him. This type of man doesn't chase love, and perhaps that's what makes love chase him. He doesn't realize the impact of his calm demeanor, or how his mysterious stillness becomes an echo in someone's mind. Women aren't just reacting to what he does, they're responding to what he withholds. The Sigma male's authenticity and independence create a psychological tension, a mix of admiration, curiosity, and desire. He may think he goes unnoticed, but the truth is, he's unforgettable. And today we dive deeper, not into how he chases women, but into what women secretly admire about him. This isn't about pickup tactics or seduction strategies. This is about real, organic attraction rooted in character. The world he walks in, it's one of quiet power. Let's explore it. Number one, his emotional control. He doesn't overreact, he doesn't overshare, he processes everything internally, efficiently. To women, this signals strength, not emotional absence, but emotional discipline. And this is where most people misunderstand the Sigma male. In a world that thrives on noise, instant reactions, and performative vulnerability, the Sigma's quiet self-control stands out. He isn't cold or emotionally unavailable, rather he practices what psychologists call a core trait linked to mental resilience and leadership. Instead of venting every emotion the moment it arises, he reflects, analyzes, and responds only when necessary. This doesn't mean he's indifferent. In fact, he's often more aware of his emotions than those who constantly display them. He just doesn't need to broadcast every internal ripple. And that kind of control, especially in high-pressure situations, is rare. Biologically, women are wired to associate stability with security, and stability often reveals itself through measured, composed behavior. This is why a man who doesn't flinch at chaos, who remains centered when others spiral, appears deeply attractive. Emotional discipline isn't just about keeping a cool face. It's about demonstrating maturity, self-awareness, and the ability to lead oneself before leading others. The Sigma male's strength isn't in brute force or loud declarations, but in his ability to remain rooted while others are tossed by the storm. This restraint, this mystery, creates gravity. It's not manipulation, it's mastery, and while others are oversharing on timelines or blowing up in traffic, the Sigma male has already processed the situation, learned from it, and moved on. Silently, effectively, and always in control. Number two, his independence. He's his own man, completely, unapologetically. He doesn't orbit around anyone's expectations, not friends, not family, not women. This self-possession is more than just personality. It's a deeply rooted psychological trait known as internal locus of control. People with this trait believe they are in charge of their own lives, decisions, and outcomes. They don't rely on the validation or direction of others. And here's where it gets interesting. This kind of autonomy is deeply attractive, especially to women. Why? Because in a world where so many chase approval, a man who doesn't seek it stands out. His independence becomes a form of silent charisma. He's not dismissive, he simply doesn't bend to social pressure. That refusal to conform creates a powerful sense of mystery. Women don't feel like they've figured him out in 5 minutes. Instead, they feel challenged, intrigued, and even a little enchanted. Evolutionary psychology supports this dynamic. Throughout history, those who were least desperate for acceptance often held the most power, And that quiet power still draws people in today. The Sigma male doesn't reject connection, but he does in it to complete himself. His world is full without external validation, and paradoxically, that's what makes others want to be part of it. He's not trying to impress. He's simply living on his terms. And in doing so, he becomes unforgettable. It's not arrogance, it's sovereignty, and that is a rare and magnetic force. Number 3, his deep thinking. He's not quick to speak, and that's no accident. In a world overflowing with noise, constant updates, hot takes, and endless chatter, his silence becomes a kind of power. When he talks, it's not just to fill space or gain approval. It's measured, intentional, and rare. And ironically, that scarcity makes his words feel heavier, more valuable. This is a psychological phenomenon known as the scarcity effect, where people tend to place higher value on things that are less readily available. His restraint signals discipline, intelligence, and control, traits that are deeply attractive on a subconscious level. Women, in particular, are wired to respond to men who project calm authority. According to studies in evolutionary psychology, traits like confidence, emotional control, and self-possession are often interpreted as signs of high value and strong leadership potential. That's why his quiet confidence doesn't go unnoticed. He doesn't rush to dominate conversations or drown others out. Instead, he lets silence work in his favor, building tension and curiosity, and when he finally speaks, people lean in. Every word sounds like it matters, because it does. There's a certain gravity to a man who speaks with purpose, especially in a society that often rewards volume over substance. Women are drawn to that presence. It suggests that he thinks before he moves and moves with intention. He's not reacting, he's responding, he's not trying to impress. He simply is. That stillness, that control, that air of mystery, it's magnetic. He doesn't just talk, he communicates. And in doing so, he sets himself apart as someone who doesn't need to be loud to be heard. Number 4, his ability to ghost without guilt. To a Sigma male, cutting contact isn't an act of cruelty, it's an act of clarity. It's not about drama or punishment, but about alignment. He sees communication as sacred, energy as currency, and presence as a privilege, not a right. When he walks away, it's because the environment no longer reflects mutual respect, truth, or value. He doesn't ghost to gain attention or play emotional games. He vanishes because peace is more valuable than forced connection. Unlike others who might cling to fading ties out of fear, guilt, or loneliness, the Sigma male makes a clean break, not to hurt, but to heal. To the woman who witnesses this withdrawal, it may sting at first, but if she's honest with herself, she'll recognize that it isn't bitterness. It's boundaries. His silence speaks louder than arguments. It's a language of self-worth. Studies in psychology support this. People with secure self-esteem are less likely to tolerate disrespect or inconsistency. They prioritize their well-being and emotional safety. Sigma males, known for their introspective nature and emotional independence, embody this truth. They don't chase validation or permission to leave a toxic space. They exit gracefully, quietly, and with finality. And paradoxically, this detachment often leaves a louder echo than any desperate plea or drawn-out goodbye. In a world obsessed with constant communication and digital availability, the Sigma male's decision to go silent is revolutionary. It teaches a valuable lesson, that not all exits are rooted in hate. Some are built on dignity. His retreat isn't an attack, it's a declaration. I value myself too much to stay where I'm not valued, and that, whether understood immediately or not, earns respect. Cutting contact isn't cold, it's clarity wrapped in courage, and it separates the truly strong from the silently suffering. Number 5, his boundaries. He doesn't explain them, he doesn't enforce them with emotion, he simply withdraws. And that unspoken consequence forces people to either level up or leave. This is the silent power of a Sigma male's boundaries. Unlike most people who communicate their limits with heated emotions, drawn-out arguments, or long-winded explanations, the Sigma operates from a place of calm clarity. He doesn't shout, he doesn't plead, he doesn't negotiate. He observes patterns, notices when respect is violated, and exits without fanfare. This behavior isn't a manipulation tactic, it's self-respect in motion. Psychologically, this aligns with a concept called silent boundary enforcement, where an individual maintains control not by reacting, but by removing access. Research in interpersonal psychology shows that withdrawal, especially in high-value individuals, creates a vacuum effect. People either evolve to meet the standards silently imposed, or they fade out of the Sigma's world. The Sigma knows that true power doesn't beg for recognition. It simply exists, radiating a standard so strong that others either rise to match it or fall away. It's not passive aggression, it's not ghosting. It's the non-verbal communication of someone who refuses to be drained. This is a form of emotional discipline rooted in Stoic philosophy. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one." That's exactly what the Sigma does. He leads by example, not explanation. His boundaries aren't up for debate, and his energy isn't currency to be spent on convincing others of his worth. So, when the Sigma male withdraws, it's not a cold shoulder. It's a quiet reset of the emotional playing field. And those who truly understand his value will either adjust their behavior or find the exit. No shouting, no blame, just silence and the message it carries. Number 6, his calm in conflict. His silence under pressure reveals something primal: control. This isn't the kind of control that comes from dominance or manipulation. It's the inner mastery of a man who has tamed his impulses, who chooses calm over chaos. In a world where arguments are often loud and emotions easily spill over, his quiet resolve becomes magnetic. This isn't just a social preference. It's deeply rooted in evolutionary psychology. Studies show that emotional stability is one of the most attractive traits in men, particularly in high-stress situations. From a biological perspective, women are often drawn to partners who demonstrate reliability and emotional regulation, qualities that signal long-term survival potential. When a man remains composed while others react, he communicates more than just confidence. He conveys security, self-possession, and mental strength. It's why the strong, silent type archetype has endured for centuries across cultures. His stillness doesn't mean he's disengaged. It means he's choosing his moment, watching, understanding, and waiting. And in doing so, he becomes unpredictable, intriguing, and quietly powerful. Women often notice how he doesn't need to raise his voice or posture for respect. It's already present in the way he carries himself. His silence isn't empty, it's intentional. It's the difference between reacting and responding, between letting the moment control you or mastering it. That kind of presence cannot be faked. It comes from inner alignment. In that quiet strength lies the power to de-escalate conflict, to disarm aggression, and to command attention without demanding it. He's not trying to win the argument. He's already won by not needing to fight in the first place. And that, to many women, is irresistible, not because he's distant, but because his depth speaks louder than any words ever could. Number 7, his respect for her autonomy. He doesn't try to fix her, possess her, or manage her, and that alone sets him apart from most men. In a world where control is often mistaken for love, the Sigma male's approach is radically different. He gives her space, not as a passive strategy, but as an intentional, powerful act of respect. He doesn't view the woman he's with as a problem to solve or a puzzle to decode. Instead, he sees her as a sovereign being, complete and capable in her own right. This mindset builds a deeper form of trust, the kind that doesn't need constant reassurance or boundary-pushing games. Psychologically, trust grows strongest not from closeness alone, but from the freedom to be oneself within a relationship. And the Sigma understands this instinctively. He knows that trying to mold someone into his idea of perfection only leads to resentment and dependency. So, rather than clinging, hovering, or overcorrecting, he steps back. He observes, he listens. And when she speaks, he hears more than her words. He hears her essence. This dynamic creates a rare type of intimacy, one that's not forced, but forged through mutual respect. Studies in healthy relationship dynamics show that autonomy is just as important as connection. People thrive when they feel free, not micromanaged. The Sigma male gets this on a cellular level. It's not that he doesn't care, it's that he cares enough to not control. Ironically, this detachment doesn't drive women away, it draws them in. She feels seen, not for what she could be if changed, but for who she already is. This kind of presence is magnetic. It's not loud, flashy, or demanding. It's calm, grounded, and unwavering. And in that space he gives her, something profound happens. She relaxes, she stops performing. She starts trusting because she knows she's not being managed, she's being respected, and that makes all the difference. Number 8, his unavailability. He's not easy to reach, not because he's playing hard to get or trying to manipulate emotions, but because he genuinely values his time. For a man like this, his attention is currency, and he doesn't spend it recklessly. Unlike those who flood conversations with constant messages and validation-seeking behavior, he moves in silence, and that silence becomes a loud presence in her mind. It's a psychological principle known as people tend to remember incomplete or interrupted experiences more than completed ones. When a woman can't easily access him, her brain loops around that open tab, wondering why he's different, what he's doing, and why he isn't vying for her attention like everyone else. Instead of chasing her, he gives her space to feel his absence, and that, paradoxically, pulls her closer. His self-discipline sends a subconscious signal. I don't need to impress you. I don't need to explain myself. I'm whole on my own. And that kind of quiet confidence is magnetic. In today's world of instant gratification and non-stop notifications, someone who doesn't respond immediately or who doesn't need to is a rare breed. He forces her to slow down, to reflect, and to question. She begins to compare his silence to the noise around her, and the contrast is profound. While others try to talk their way into her thoughts, he occupies space in her mind by not speaking at all. It's not about being cold, it's about being deliberate. Studies in behavioral psychology even suggest that scarcity increases perceived value. When something is rare or not easily accessible, we instinctively assign it more importance. That's exactly what happens here. His detachment isn't emotional distance, it's emotional mastery. He knows who he is and doesn't seek external validation to reinforce it. So he doesn't rush to reply, doesn't over-explain, and doesn't fear being misunderstood. In doing so, he breaks the rhythm of what she's used to. And that break creates intrigue, attraction, and eventually admiration. His silence becomes a mirror in which she sees her own thoughts more clearly. And often those thoughts are about him. Number 9, his obsession with growth. He doesn't brag about self-improvement, he simply evolves. And that's exactly why women find him so irresistibly magnetic. While many men announce every gym session, quote every self-help guru, or plaster their social media feeds with motivational buzzwords, the Sigma male operates differently. His growth is silent, intentional, almost invisible until you notice how different he's become. He's the type to pick up a new language, master a new skill, or level up in his career without telling a soul. There's something incredibly powerful about quiet transformation. It signals inner strength, discipline, and self-respect. Psychologically, this behavior triggers a concept known as self-determined motivation, where actions are driven by personal values rather than external validation. According to studies in evolutionary psychology, women are wired to subconsciously gravitate toward men who exhibit competence, confidence, and emotional control, traits often found in those who grow in silence. It's not about the flex, it's about the presence. A man who evolves without seeking applause is, in essence, someone who's not trying to prove anything, and that's precisely what makes him stand out. There's no need to advertise greatness when greatness speaks through your actions. This unspoken confidence hints at emotional intelligence and long-term potential, two traits that women, both consciously and unconsciously, find incredibly appealing. It's not the noise of improvement that matters, it's the evidence. She notices how he handles pressure better now, how he listens more, speaks less, and carries himself with calm precision. His evolution isn't broadcast, it's embodied. And in a world that's obsessed with image, a man who chooses substance over spectacle becomes a rare breed. His quiet growth says everything without saying a word, and that silence echoes louder than any boast ever could. Number 10, his purposeful silence. When he's quiet, it's not emptiness, it's calculation. This silence isn't a void, it's a strategy. While the average person may rush to fill the air with chatter, the Sigma male leans into stillness. He listens intently, not to respond, but to understand. In a world where speaking first is often mistaken for leadership, he proves that true power often lies in observation. This trait aligns with psychological studies that show individuals who speak less and listen more are often perceived as more intelligent and trustworthy. The Sigma male isn't trying to impress anyone. He's trying to discern patterns, motives, and meaning beneath the surface. And when he finally does speak, it's never impulsive or for show. Every word is deliberate. His language is not ornamental, it's functional. He speaks to inform, to correct where others are lost in assumptions, or to elevate a conversation, challenging others to think deeper and rise higher. This quality makes his voice rare but impactful. It's why people lean in when he talks, because they know it matters. In many ways, his behavior mirrors that of historical tacticians and leaders like Marcus Aurelius, who wrote more than he spoke, or Miyamoto Musashi, the silent samurai who used words sparingly but struck with truth. His silence isn't awkwardness, it's mastery. And in a noisy world obsessed with attention, the Sigma male remains an enigma, watching, analyzing, and speaking only when necessary. His restraint becomes his superpower, proving that silence isn't a weakness but a weapon sharpened by wisdom and self-control. That kind of clarity, it's irresistible. The Sigma male doesn't follow society's blueprint. He is the blueprint. He walks alone, not out of rebellion, but because he charts a course only he can understand. Ironically, that solitude makes him unforgettable. His silence has a presence louder than noise, drawing attention without effort. While others shout to be noticed, the Sigma is watched in awe simply for existing. Stay curious, be unseen, be unforgettable. Brain boosters.